Okay, this is the second video, or third if you count the introduction, in a series that we are discussing everyday strategies for parents. The first thing that we talked about was setting those clear expectations. At the end of that video, we kind of talked about a little bit of how to use your attention and acknowledging when children are following the expectations that you have. This video is really elaborating on that. How can you strategically use your attention to increase the behaviors you want to see? As parents, sometimes it feels like we're constantly, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, stop that. And we find ourselves yelling a lot or kind of losing our patience. I see this so often in my own home with my daughter. Sometimes when she wants our attention, she will do things she knows are wrong. She will intentionally do them in order to get a reaction or to get our attention. And sometimes she'll giggle. You can tell she's doing it, waiting for you to have that reaction. Children start this at a young age. They like negative attention, okay? Children like positive attention, but they also enjoy the reaction of negative attention. Why do kids like negative attention? Why do we see that children tend to really play on this negative attention? Well, it's because it's more intense. You yell and it's kind of startling and it's like, whoa, what was that? It's kind of amusing. If you sit back and watch somebody yell at somebody else, they kind of have some interesting facial expressions, and it's very intense. It also involves close proximity. So usually you can sit on the sofa and say, don't do that. But if your child is climbing on something or doing something dangerous, you have to get up to intervene a lot of times. And you'll say, don't do that. And then they look at you and then they do it anyways. And you're like, oh my gosh. And so then you have to get up and go take care of it. And you're like, oh, and you are very frustrated, but they're getting what they want, because they want you to stop what you're doing and pay attention to them. And so the second that they do that wrong thing, you stop and you get up and you move closer to them. They're winning. They're like, woohoo, that's exactly what I wanted. So it involves close proximity. It involves your undivided attention. You put everything else to the side and go take care of that, even if you're yelling. But remember, yelling is intense and it can be exciting. It can be a little bit of a dopamine release. It usually takes longer. So you usually stop and you tell them why they're doing something wrong, what they should do instead. You sit there and you stay there until they stop doing whatever it is that they're supposed to stop doing. You may say, look at me, when you're telling them not to do something. You give them that eye contact, that intense eye contact. They have all of your attention. And so that's why negative attention is so powerful. But reprimands don't have to be long. They don't have to be intense. And so whenever you're getting on to your children, think about being a bad roller coaster, okay? Think about being dull, boring. Don't change the tone of your voice. So what you may be like freaking out inside, like, no! But just be like, don't do that. Don't change your facial expression. Keep your facial expression as neutral, as apathetic, as bored as possible. You may not be freaking out because they're climbing on top of these shelves over here, okay? So if you have shelves like this at home, you may have a toddler who's trying to climb up them. Maybe freaking out inside. Don't change your facial expression. Don't change your tone of voice, okay? Now, of course, if they're running into the street, yell and stop them, okay? So if you need to stop a child, okay? Do whatever you have to do. But we're talking here about things that are minor things, okay? If you have to give a reprimand, be very stern. No, nobody. That's it, okay? You don't have to say anything else. Just very stern, okay? And then move on. Get up. If you have to get up and move closer to them, don't look at them. Don't give them close eye contact, but just kind of move them to the side. You look one way and you move them over here, okay? So I'm not paying attention to you. I am keep maintaining safety, but I am ignoring you, okay? Put them in front of their toys. Put them wherever they're supposed to be playing, and then move on. The same with older kids. You can correct very neutrally. You know you shouldn't have done that, right? Okay, well, I'm not going to say anything more about that. I'm moving on. And so this is with your older kids, okay? But on the converse, you have to provide attention when they're being good. So this means with your expectations, you want to catch them being good, and you really want to provide high quality attention then. It's so easy to ignore good behaviors. I find myself doing this all the time. Like, leave well enough alone. They're playing. They're being nice. Don't disturb them. It's okay. You don't have to disturb them right in that moment. But then find an opportune time before they start fighting. Find an opportune time and step in and say, I'm really proud of you. What you're doing is great. I'm so proud of how well you're playing. I'm so proud of how well you did this today. Thank you for taking out the trash. Thank you for sharing your toys. Thank you for saying please or thank you, whatever that is. Acknowledge it. Catch them being good. Give them eye contact. Leave them a post-it note. Maybe you just write a little post-it note that says, I saw this today and I appreciate it. That is really meaningful to your older kids, to your teenagers, and to your pre-adolescent kids. Those notes. Post something on Facebook. Take a picture of them and post it. Share it with grandma. Send a text to grandma and share it with them. So think about your kids and how they like their attention, but be strategic with it. This takes practice. It takes a lot of time to minimize your attention for the undesired behaviors, to really tone that down, to tone down the yelling and be apathetic about the things they shouldn't be doing, but to be excited and enthusiastic and to take the time to catch them with the things that they are doing that you really like.